Here we are. We're licking our wounds. Tony and I have done this twice. We're still in pain, but it's okay. We are moving forward. Tony Camino there. I'm Andy Billman here. Go to BelieveInTheLand.com for a full, thorough article on this game and plays that happened during the Steelers game. We're going to be reviewing it, sadly. Before we do, Tony, now you've had 72 hours. How do you feel as Monday night has been, as we kind of had a chance to digest it? I haven't talked to you really since that game.
Uh, right after the fact, that whole game, the second Chubb went down, everybody involved, the fans, players, coaches, life got sucked out of everyone. So the game kind of felt like a loss from that moment forward. But with that being said, there was still a game to play, and there was a game that should have been won. Plenty of chances, costly turnovers at the wrong times. Even though we would go and make big plays that you would think would be leading to a victory, something else would then happen, and it was just a ton of blown opportunities. The refs didn't help us, but that's a game that needs to be won and should have been won. We had chances and we made the plays, but ended up shooting ourselves in the foot too many times.
Really did. The offense is clearly not up to speed, but the defense is. And we're going to start with the defense in this game. Mr. Delpit, and, we've been talking about Delpit a lot, and we were talking about Delpit earlier, and I want to bring him up again, Tony. He is really having a career year. You could start seeing it last year, but my gosh, has this game jumped in 2 games.
Yeah, I don't think we really anticipated to see Grant Delpit take the leap in 2 games. Now, it's just 2 games, but
Right.
I think everybody expected him to play better. But to get to this level, nobody was really thinking that was coming. So on this play, this is early in the game, and this is just a triple slant, third down, right after the pick, not right after the pick six, but after the pick six, Browns got a field goal. Defense does a great job here. Delpit is in the slot over the side where the tight end would be, close to the top of the screen. And the Browns are just running some form of cover three here. And so Delpit's sole job here is reading and reacting to the quarterback's eyes, which he does perfectly. Here you can see his head directly at the quarterback. He opens his hips with the shoulder that Pickett opens with, drops right back, and then when he makes the throw, he can make a really athletic diving interception. And when you're teaching a hook dropper in that kind of a coverage, that's about as good of a technique as you can have. He opened his hips at the perfect time. He reacted to every little move that the quarterback had with his shoulders, with his feet, with his head, and just a great interception to put the Browns in the spot where they could have taken the lead despite the first play pick six.
What's amazing to me, I'm actually going to go backwards, and his technique is great. I mean, look how you said it perfectly, so I don't want to trumpet. You can tell he's focused and locked in, and that makes such a big difference in football. It really does. You can be fast, you can be quick, but when you're locked in like he is, you can tell he's studying because he's really in great position here. The one thing I like that I really enjoy about Jim Schwartz, I'm going to go back to this opening thing. This is not about Delpa, this is about Schwartz. I love how he's using his talent wisely. Look how tight cornerbacks are. You can be tight here. This team's got very talented cornerbacks, Tony. And not just Denzel Ward, Emerson and Newsom. I think Emerson's a star. I really do. I really like Emerson a lot on this team. Really do.
Yeah, I think Jim Schwartz has done the most to get everything out of the guys he has, and he's got a lot of talent, and it's showing through 2 games.
It really is. So Delpit is play one. Now, on play two, we have a little bit of Harris and JOK, I believe. So
Yep.
let's bring him up on here on stage.
Yep. So right here, this is just the Steelers running an outside zone where everyone's just zoning, blocking to the right. Shelby Harris is the circle D tackle in a three technique, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is in a 10 backer position. And Najee Harris's job right here is running flat on the snap. He's not getting downhill at all, and they're just running outside zone. So he's trying to get to the sideline and get some edges up the field. But Shelby Harris gets off the ball beautifully here, gets into the backfield right away, and then JOK right behind him does a great job sliding through. And when his man, who's left off balance when Harris breaks through the zone, goes to pick up JOK, he's a little off balance, and it allows JOK to slide right under and then get through to make a great tackle for loss. You could see there how the tackle was a little off balance because of Harris blowing right through the offensive line. JOK could then slide under, and Harris missed the tackle by a little bit, but JOK was there, and they finished it off for a huge tackle for loss, and that sent them behind. This was a first and 10 play. So getting teams, the Steelers in particular, behind the change with our pass rush is going to lead to a lot of good outcomes.
What I like that you did here, I did not like the comparison between Garrett and TJ Watt after the game because it's pretty clear the Steelers want to shut down Garrett, as they should. That's what a smart team does. But this gives opportunities for someone like Harris and JOK to be disruptors. I really think big things this year from JOK. I really do.
Yeah.
I think this could be a big year where he could really make some plays. What are your thoughts so far on what you've seen from JOK?
I've been huge on JOK since we got him. I know he had a little bit of a down year last year, but when you're dealing with the injuries he dealt with and the atrocious D line play, that's to be expected. When you have guys in front of you blowing plays up, the backers this year are playing free and they're just free and fast. If to two words to describe it, they're not thinking and they're just making plays off instinct because they can, because the D line is getting so much pushback and actually allowing them to fly around.
I just think, and I like that flying around, this is maximizing the defense. And before we get into the next play, do you see a big difference with Schwartz? As I do so far. I have been really impressed by so far, Tony, what Schwartz can do and how he maximizes his talent in his team. I just can't get over it.
Yeah, it's been night and day. It helps with the talent we have. But Joe Woods had not the same talent, but a lot of the same talent, and we saw the opposite results. So the fact that he can maximize three pass rushers at once, he focuses so much on getting pressure on the quarterback with just four guys, and then on the back end when you have seven in coverage and they're as good as our guys are, it's there's just no real solution. And I've heard people around the league. Jason Kelsey continues to talk about how good that Browns front was when they had
Yeah.
those joint practices, and it's showing so far. And I think we're going to lean on them all year.
We are. Before we get to more defense, I believe we're going to get to a throw in this game. They actually did play offense in this game.
Yeah.
Tony is going to get to a big throw here by Mr. Watson. Describe what we're seeing here in this play here.
So this is a big third down late in the game, backed up, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Steelers are bringing an extra guy, so the four rushers highlighted in red, and then the linebacker is blitzing up. There's a backside dig and then a post on the backside. And Amari Cooper, they're clearly just in man coverage. Watson recognizes it, and he's just running out on a fade, outside release fade. And when Watson, all game we saw it, when he had Amari Cooper one-on-one, he was going at him. And they actually had a great connection, despite everything people we want to say about, and the performance wasn't great. The best positive of the offense was their connection. Here, Watson standing in, about to get hit. Cooper doesn't really have separation on him, but he trusts him to go up, and then Deshaun puts this ball right on the money, and Cooper makes a great turn, high points the ball, and comes down with a really big catch that, if it didn't lead to an Njoku fumble when we crossed midfield, probably would have been the drive that won us the game. Even if we would have just punted it and pinned him deep.
Yeah, it's interesting. Watson talked about, and as you see here, as Tony pointed out, look at the one-on-one coverage here and the catch. That's a pro catch. And I get it. He's a pro. He's supposed to make that catch. But that we've seen so much bad wide receivers over the years still. I still get a little humbled when I see something very good like this. The one thing that came up, Tony, in the press conference from Watson, is he said that he thinks he needs more time with Cooper. He thinks that's going to get better. So you're seeing, though, in these games, when Cooper's one-on-one, he's taking advantage of it. That's what you're trying to say.
It seems like there were numerous occasions when Watson saw one-on-one and he was immediately like, okay, we're trusting Amari Cooper to make a play. And that's usually not a bad option. I only remember Cooper dropping one or two of his targets. He was targeted like 8 or 9 times. So they were showing that connection, and Cooper showed with Jacoby Brissett what he can do. So if Deshaun can get back to where he needed to be, and even with the way he played last game, I think they're going to be a great connection all year.
Let me ask you, and then we'll get to the defensive play, then we'll go back to the offense. I'm surprised we haven't seen more yet. Do you think we'll start seeing Elijah Moore? I would love to see him. I really would. I think he's talented.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because he had a huge catch at the end, a big similar play to this one, backed up conversion. He had about 3 or 4 catches where if he gets one more toe in, it's a huge catch. And that was just the kind of night it was for the Browns. So
yeah, it was.
He had plenty of targets, and he was inches away on every single one of making big plays. I think now without Nick Chubb, we're going to see even more of him in the rushing attack. And I think he was involved a lot in the passing game. It was, again, just inches away on multiple occasions from getting that second foot in.
It's true. I think we need to see more of more. And then we need to see Cooper. I was not a big fan of the Harrison Bryant play start the game. I really lean on those other talented players to go in there more. I think
Yeah.
they need to go to their strengths here. They have too many weapons.
Yeah, that was just. I understand we needed to go to other weapons, but they got those Steelers in the exact look they want. It was
Oh,
D
I
end
know.
Alex Highsmith guarding Harrison Bryant, and unfortunately for us, even if he is tight end 3, if he can't make that catch, he doesn't really have any business being on the roster. But that's a catch he has to make 10 times out of 10. Even though him and Deshaun were clearly not exactly on the same page of where the ball was supposed to go, it hit him enough, and there was another drop ball that was a little behind him. We saw it last year. He's just not very sure-handed.
See, did you hear that? I agree with Tony. Harrison Bryant, make the catch. But let's go back to defense. The defense is playing wonderful right now.
Yep.
This is Ogbo and Anthony Walker. Anthony Walker, actually, glad you brought him up. He played well. He played a good game in this game. But what are we looking at here?
Big game late in the game. This is right around the 2 minute mark. This 3rd down and 1. So if they convert, our chances of even having a shot to win this game are almost zero. This is just simple read option. Pickett is either handing it or giving it based on what Okoronkwo does. And here, Okoronkwo was taught to just stay on the upfield hip of Pickett so that if he does pull it, he can still make a play on him and he can also dive on Najee from the back. And then Anthony Walker's job is, despite whatever they're trying to block him with, he's getting purely vertical upfield. So when Pickett does pull it, he's there as well. And so Okoronkwo does a great job staying right at that upfield shoulder. And then even though the action's happening all the way to the right of Walker, he's not cutting himself in. He's staying completely upfield so that Pickett decides to keep this, and they're both right at him to make the play, and turns into a huge, huge, huge 3rd down stop, forces them to punt, gives us the ball back. It's plays like these where, while the offense is going to have their struggles, the defense is going to give us a chance every single game we play.
And again, I'm going to point something else out here. And this is a great play by Walker and Ogbo. Look what's going on to the far right. Garrett has 2 guys on him. Two guys right there. That gives opportunities for these other 2 gentlemen to make plays. That is something that's got to be more aware. And by the way, why the Browns didn't put another guy on TJ Watt times, I'm not sure. Maybe they did. Maybe we missed it. I don't know. But this kind of stuff here on the defense is going to give opportunities for Walker, for Ogbo, for JOK, for Shelby Harris to make plays because it's one-on-one and possibly, Tony, not even one-on-one matchups, simply just making the play. Yeah. You're not going to have really any on you because too many people are focused on Garrett. And I think in times this is Darius Smith.
Yeah, I just think that this kind of situation last year, teams are converting that almost every time, and we're not even getting a chance with the ball unless there's 30 seconds left to go, chance to tie it. We had a legitimate chance because of that, and yeah, there was kind of a missed call at the end, but they had a real shot because of what the defense did there.
I'll say it. That was a missed call. But on the road on Monday night, you're not going to get that call sometimes. They didn't get that call. And the Browns typically don't get that call, which drives me crazy, but that's what's going to happen. Now, I want to admit something here. Tony said something, and he's right. He's going to teach me something here today. Now, this last play, which is very crushing. This play really determined the game, obviously, because it was the fumble 6 scoop. Tony's going to explain what really happened here on this fumble. So, Tony, take us through it.
So this was one where TJ Watt after the game said they knew what was happening here. Yes. The Browns didn't, and TJ Watt's played enough games against Kevin Stefanski. They're 80 snaps in, 90 snaps, whatever. So when the Browns came up under center and all the linemen are identifying who they're blocking, that's just something they never did under center in the run game. So when we're doing a play action here, Highsmith lined up on Jed Wills. He normally would need to work more towards that outside hip of Wills because he's responsible for that gap. And even though Jed Wills was pass setting the whole time, he would need to at least start going there. Instead, he can work completely upfield to just beat Jed Wills on the edge, and the only way he even had a chance to get him is if he completely just turns around and runs, which he's not the most athletic guy in the world to go and do that. Even if he was, that's an impossible ask. And because the Steelers know what's going on, this little exchange of the mesh between him and Jerome Ford, by the time he's clear to even think about making a throw, Highsmith is already there, and the play's broken, and causes a fumble and the touchdown that ultimately seals the game. And the worst part was right here. Obviously, you can't even figure out where Deshaun is because there was so much pressure. But if the play had time to develop, Peoples-Jones was going to be free, wide open, right at the first down sticks, probably with a lot more room to go. But that was just, this really sums up that first week because it's error on everybody. It's not. This is not a Deshaun problem. This is not a Stefanski problem. This is not an O-line problem. This is everybody. Because right here, we need to have all of our guys on the same page, making play calls where they don't know what's coming, where they don't understand easily it's a run, so that the blocking can give time. Because that was the biggest theme of the game to me, was plenty of concepts were open, but the O-line could not get the protection down to make that throw happen. And sometimes they were asking for a lot of time, so they just got to work those little things out. And I think there's been enough positive things where the passing attack should get going.
There was something mentioning in Watson's press conference, too, about running backs picking up blocks. I don't know if he's talking about this play specifically, but boy, Ford's got to do something here. He's clearly not going to get the pass. I mean, it's just way too much rush and pressure. To Tony's point, though, Watts saw the play from point A, right? Point A says he's got an advantage. He's taking a great angle here. It's simple geometry from there. And to Tony's point, if Ford or if someone's able to allow to see this and maybe shift, I don't know, this is open. Mm-hmm. But the Steelers, and I've been watching them for years, the Steelers are one of the few teams we play, along with the Ravens, actually, ironically, that love putting pressure on a quarterback. That's why I'm so excited about the Browns. The Browns are creating something that we are seeing from the Steelers. The Ravens stretch a long time. Their front seven can create pressure now from many different facets and angles, not just Myles Garrett. And in this game here, Tony, I really felt the Steelers basically said, look, you know what? We're going to put as much pressure on Watson on the blocking and see what happens from there. And by the way, they guessed right, because the Browns were really not able to do much. And then once Chubb went out, goodbye. I mean, they just really started taking off from there.
They're a tough matchup for an offense that's not clicking all on the same pages, because while they're not as dominant on paper as so many other defenses, their way that they always show 5 rushers and rarely bring 5, they always show like they're bringing 5. It's really hard for the O-line and QB to really figure out where the pressure is coming from. And for a unit that's really meshed and playing well, that's something they can handle. But that's part of the reason why all those years, always, the Steelers managed to get pressure on us, just because they know how to confuse the O-line and confuse the quarterback.
It confuses blocking schemes entirely. I wouldn't even just put it on the O-line. It really does. And again, it proves. We saw it with Delpit. We're seeing with TJ Watt. TJ Watt studies. And TJ Watt saw something and attacked it. And it's going to have to be changed next time around. All right. So Tony did a whole article on this game. Check it out on believeintheland.com. And then after you're done, wash it away with a good sudsy beer or some sort of wine. Or maybe even a fine alcohol. That was a rough loss, but there's many more games to go from here. Check out all of Tony's work. He did some work on the Cavs, doing some work on the Guardians as well, and all sorts of stuff leading up to Browns and Titans this Sunday. Tony there. I'm Andy here. We'll be on all week leading up to the game in Tennessee.